So, hi, Anwin. It's great to have you on the show with us today.
Thank you for having me, Melissa. I'm quite excited.
I'm really excited because we're going to talk all things money today. And I'm more of a kind of words person, the communication, marketing, that side of things. But I know the finance side of things is so important. So I'm really excited to dig into that a little bit and today to find out more about where women can start with their finance and make sure that through their business, they're really building wealth and that solid position that they can trust. But before we dig into that, I'd love to know, how did you get started in your business?
Oh, mine was an impromptu business, actually. It wasn't really planned out. So I am still in the investment banking space. And at this particular time, I was in private banking and I was helping them deploy a new regulation that came out by the FCA, which is like the SEC equivalent in the UK. And a lot of it was around consumer protection and the regulations around how they go about markets. And what I identified with all of the business owners, with all of the clients of the private bank that I was working with was, first, they were all business owners. Every single one of them, all these multimillionaires all had businesses. And also the way they went about managing their money had really nothing to do with what their accumulated wealth was. It was literally strategies that I believe that we can start doing as individuals who are not ultra high net worth as yet. So that is why I started Wealth Fluency, to share some of these strategies that we can be doing now, but we're not.
I love that story. And I love that realization as well, that it's the business that builds the wealth. It's the strategy behind that rather than just the money that really helps to build that solid position.
Absolutely, yes.
You said you didn't plan your business, so maybe this won't be so clear for you, but what was the reality of starting and growing a business like versus what you thought it might be?
Funnily enough, me starting a money business, so to say, or within the finance space, was totally polar opposite to the way I was, because I was abysmal with money, and to the point where my first car got towed away by bailiffs because I wasn't keeping up with payments and everything just got on top of me. So coming from there to then investment banking to actually being in the space where I'm actually helping others with their money now is like two different human beings, to be honest. But my major struggle was in the corporate space. I felt my skill sets were understood. If I come and I say I'm a business architect, they understood where I would sit. When I started my small business, I struggled in how to market myself. I struggled in how to get that personal relationship going. I struggled with also understanding where my clients were at, because in the corporate level, I could speak a certain way, jargon basically, and they would understand, but I didn't know how much more simpler I could make it. I had a lot of assumptions. That is one big thing. I assumed that everybody knew this, or this is known, or, you know, being in business, you would know this, you would know that, and that's not necessarily the case. So literally bringing myself to where my clients needed me, bringing myself to the point of need was a big step for me, because I didn't know how to go about it.
Yeah, and I think that's quite a common experience. Working in corporate or working with corporates is very different to marketing to individuals as well. So it sounds like you had quite a journey from not handling money to go into private banking, which is a whole nother level of banking, and then into your own business. And I love that it shows it's possible, that if people feel that they're a hot mess when it comes to their finances right now, you can turn that around. We can really learn how to make this work. So I love that inspiration in your story. But I'd love to know, were there any particular steps you took to help you understand where your clients are today and how you can really connect with them, and how best to adapt your approach to finance so it really fitted into their world and their understanding?
So first of all, I used a lot of coaching to get me into the space. I use business coaches, I use mentors, I use sales coaches, I use marketing coaches. I basically use coaches to help me in the areas that are not the norm for me. So I got a lot of help there. And also I read quite a bit. And when it came to finance, I did a lot of behavioral finance as well, because a lot of what happens with money is more to do with us than with money itself. So understanding the behavior around our psychology with money helped me quite a bit to kind of get to the, oh, so that's where they are. okay, that is where they're coming from. And I also went through training for financial coaching, because although I knew money, I didn't necessarily know how to coach people about money. So that gave that extra layer of dealing with the emotive side of money, dealing with the human side of money, which usually gets dropped or totally ignored in the investment world space.
Yeah,
So,
I've worked in private banking, and yeah, I've seen firsthand that it's very not human. The particular bank I was working with was trying to turn that around. But yeah, it's a very different way of looking at money than I think the connection you have with money as a woman or as a business owner is something very different to how you might handle it in a institutional
yes,
aspect.
yes,
So
absolutely.
I love that you got help with your business, because you know I know all of my clients and everyone listening to the show, they're smart women. You know, they have the skills, they have the knowledge, they have the ambition, they have the drive, they have everything they need, but we don't have all of the skills we need to build a business, because there are so many different facets to that. Is that something that if you would start your business, you would repeat again? Do you feel that coaching has really helped you to flesh out your business and build those skills?
Definitely. I would totally do it again, and probably do it earlier, and probably be more discerning around who I work with. Because again, I had the good experiences and I had the bad experiences as well. And if I, in hindsight, which is always 2020, if I spent a little bit more time, doing my due diligence towards certain individuals and maybe doing some basics myself, to know, okay, I am going to work with this coach and this is what marketing is all about. So these are, let's say, the outcomes that I should be expecting, rather than going there totally, naive and expecting them to fully direct me. That would have probably helped me know that, okay, this is going towards the right direction, or this is very cookie cutter. So right now I veer away from any cookie cutter methodologies. If you
Yeah.
cannot adapt it to me or to my industry, then we're not really a good fit, because again, each business owner, although all of us might be working at Walmart, we just have a different way of approaching things. And it's quite important for me, at least, that that is being acknowledged when I'm joining a program or when I'm working with somebody.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And it is hard to find that right coach, particularly when you're starting out. And it's an investment. You know, if you're going to get a good coach, they don't come cheap. But
Mhm.
understanding your values, who you really feel motivated to work with,
Yeah.
and knowing what you want the outcome to be before you speak to these coaches, I think that's great advice. And it's something that I always encourage, like people that come and have a call with me, for example, is if you're not entirely sure, go and speak to 2 or 3 other business coaches. Sometimes you need to speak to others as well, just to help get that clarity, because sometimes you don't understand what that outcome should be, but when you
Yes.
speak to a few different people and you get different ideas, you think, oh yeah, okay, now it's coming together. So you need to be really confident isn't in that decision. So I think that's great advice. Thanks for sharing. So you mentioned there the behavioral side of finance.
Mm.
And do you feel that there is a different way that women handle finance or behave around money to men?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it comes a lot with the society we're in. It comes a lot with the upbringing we have as well. Because obviously you're going to have the anomalies where, brothers and sisters were treated the same, literally the same. And then we have the, boys play with trucks and girls play with dolls scenario, which is a lot of what all of majority of the world grew up in, where we're already pigeonholed based on our gender as to how we should behave and how we should react. So when it comes to women, we're instinctively maternal, but we've always been in the position of waiting to be helped rather than just helping ourselves. And a lot of that comes up with our relationship with money. And also our relationship with money is very much attached to our relationship with our parents as well, or whoever was our maternal or paternal figure when we were growing up. So when it comes to the behavior with money, obviously there's the mass, fight or flight triggers that we all have, which is attached to money as well. But there's also the nurture element of it. So if we think of things like what emotions come up when we think about money, what did we learn growing up about money? Did we have pocket money? Did we have savings? Or did we always have to ask for everything we wanted? Like I grew up in a household where we didn't have pocket money. It wasn't really a concept. It was more, if you want something, you ask for it. You get it, you get it. You don't get it, you don't get it. It's one of those things. And coming to a space where now you have to ask for it, although if not, you won't get it. It's a different space. And I didn't start dealing with my own money until I was 17, 18, when I left boarding school and then went and started living on my own. That was my first interaction. And I was so cocooned that even when my passport expired, I had to call my dad to ask him, how do I renew my passport? All of those elements within our past, within the emotions that we attach to certain experiences as we grow up, that we need to explore to find out, is it beneficial to me in regards to my wealth building, in regards to how I want to raise my kids, in regards to how I want to build my business, or is it detrimental? And if it's detrimental, it's not a matter of wake up and change who you are, but it's more, how do I leverage it? How do I make it so that it is not detrimental to me? So me growing up, because everything was so restrictive and controlled, when then I became of age and I lived on my own and I had my own money, I became a compulsive spender. Now I have been able to mitigate that side of me. So I have a fund for that, because it usually happens when it's linked to an emotion that happens to me. So if something happens, that switch turns on and I want to spend. Then after I finish spending, then I feel guilty, and it's, ebbs and flows. So because I know I have ebbs and flows, I put money aside because I know I will have that. It's going to come. So because I've already been putting money aside because I know who I am and I've accepted who I am, when I go to spend, then there's no guilt about it. So it's not like all of a sudden now I'm a super saver. No, I've just mitigated my strengths. So I'm really good with money now, but I'm still a spender, which is my challenge. But now I'm using my challenge to make me stronger.
Yeah, that's interesting that you can really embrace who you are and how you tick and still have good strategies in place. You don't need to completely change who you are in order to manage your money. You can just create the right strategies that work for your personality.
Absolutely. Yes.
Interesting. And you've talked about how as women, we have these different experiences. And I know I had a very mixed experience growing up with money. And there's the difference with the generations. I'm seeing that the new generation have a very different way of thinking about money. And that particularly perhaps with the internet, that, wow, I can just go out and make money. And I think that's just such a wonderful idea, that I create some value and I'll get paid for that. And I think that's quite a nice reframe that certainly wasn't something I was exposed to when I was a child. Mm-hmm. But I thought something that's quite interesting about your experience is that you grew up in the UK, you're living in the States, and you often spend time in the Caribbean as well. Have you seen any difference between these cultures and how they think about money?
Yes, they're worlds apart, I would say. So especially in the UK, we have the stiff upper lip. We have certain etiquettes about what you talk about, what you don't talk about, what is ladylike, what is considered, properly brought up and what isn't. So when we talk about money, it is not polite, it is not elegant, it is not accepted to talk about money. It's considered very, crass. So that is in the UK, and it's all about overcoming all of those barriers, because again, the secretiveness of money doesn't need to be there. So it's overcoming that gray and male and very aristocratic look about money, and step away from that and being more open about it, because it's something that we all spend day to day. So it's getting more comfortable with that. And it's almost like the revolution of the 70s and 80s when it came to sex. That was when everybody became more open about speaking about it and speaking about struggles and so forth. And I believe that's what's happening now as well. There's this revolution around money, and also we are decentralizing money as well. So that's accessible to more people, and the entry level has been lowered, so more people can start building wealth and start building that generational wealth that right now it's only probably relevant to what we would call old money. So now there's a lot of new money and more innovative way, as you said, of people creating money. So that's the UK. The US, they're bold and brash. Like literally they are out there when it comes to money and they talk about it. We still have the same beliefs, but I think they're more open about it. They tend to talk about it more. And maybe it's because of their landmass, but they have bigger dreams. Their dreams are just big and wild. In the UK, it's much more, you need to be reserved, you need to be composed, you need to, talk a certain way, have your back straight, whilst in the US, it's like, yeah, let's go for it.
Mhm.
Which I think we should take more on in the UK. Whilst in the Caribbean, there's still a lot of remnants of colonialism. So there is still seek outwards for help. And again, a lot of institutions that are here might not necessarily be helpful to the Caribbean. So we have like USAID, we have a whole lot of, and I would say probably developing countries in general, because I'm originally ancestry from Cameroon. So there's still a lot of aid culture, but not necessarily teach them to fish rather than just give them the fish, which then enables still the sit and wait for aid to come. So when it comes to the Caribbean culture, there is still a lot of that. And there's still, how can I build wealth when I'm not earning, £5 an hour as they do in the US? There's still the whole, I need to go out there. I need to go to the US. I need to go to Australia. I need to go to the UK to be successful. I cannot be successful at home. So there is a lot more around self-worth when it comes to money and ability to be able to build wealth wherever you are. And I have to, again, sometimes step away from the conversation and also accept my privileges, because I am from the West and apparently I've got an accent and I get away with a lot more because I've got an accent. And there's a lot of that needs to be dismantled, that because you're a foreigner and you've got the accent and you've always been in the West, your mindset is different from us, that we've had to struggle to even, get school fees to go to school. Whilst in the UK, school is free. In fact, if you don't send your kids to school, the police comes to your door. So we all have our money struggles, but we're in all different positions with our money struggles. That is why it's important to always acknowledge who you are, where you're from, and the society that brought you up, because all of that would have an impact on your money mindset. When you not understand what it is and what your triggers are, as quick as the money comes, it's going to go away as quickly, because money is going to flow. You might help it stay longer or you might help it leave faster. That's when then it depends really on you and your relationship with it.
Yeah. How interesting that there are just so many dynamics that can impact your relationship with money and your ability to attract it and keep it as well. So if someone's listening and they're not quite sure where to start with finding their money relationship, what would be the first step in helping them explore that and understand more about their position with money?
So when I started my journey, Jen Sincero was my money coach, and her whole Badass series, that's where I started. And I know it's the books that all of us have read at one point or the other. If you haven't, that's a good place to start, because she really went through the journey, and it's kind of, although her journey is totally different from mine, it was interesting to see her journey and how she expressed how she came about her money mindset. So I have put together a nice quiz that you could go through and actually identify what your money archetype is, what your money habit is, because a lot of this is not necessarily a one-hit wonder. It's the routines that you've put in place year over year over year. So now it's looking at those routines and look at what is beneficial to me and what is not so beneficial to me. So what is in alignment with my vision and what isn't, and those challenges that are not in alignment with your vision, how can you position it so that it is in alignment with your vision? It's not taking you off track. So when you go through the quiz that I've created, it gives you a wealth report at the end of it. And based on your money archetype, it's going to tell you what your gifts are. So you might be a nurturer, you might be a connector, you might be a maverick in regards to how you go about money. You're always looking at creative ways, to bring value to the world. We want to embrace all of that and see how then we can use that for your ultimate vision about wealth. Because when it comes to wealth, please, please, please always start with your definition of wealth. Not everybody will be happy with a Lamborghini and a 16-bedroom mansion. I hate cleaning, so 16-bedroom mansions, I'm like, And then it's like, oh, you can outsource the cleaning. I was like, no, I don't want all those people in my house. So you really have to define what success means to you. You have to define what wealth means to you. Some people just live on a boat. So they just want to do that, live on a boat off the grid, and that is wealth for them. And others want the Lamborghini and the 16-bedroom mansion. But try to step away from other people's definition of wealth. Because right now, especially if you're in the online space, 6 figures, 7 figures is the thing. And everybody wants to hit 6 and 7 figures. But is that in alignment with your vision? Do you need 6, 7 figures? Maybe you might need 8 figures based on your vision, but maybe 4 figures will get you there. And you want to be able to acknowledge and celebrate yourself when you get there, rather than getting caught in another rat race after leaving corporate, which a lot of us have. You don't want to leave corporate and then create a whole ridiculous rat race, because this rat race that you create for yourself is worse than the corporate rat race, because you're emotionally and passionately attached to this little baby now, compared to corporate, where you're like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. And you step away. It's much more harder for you to step away from your business. So if you have it in alignment with what your end goal is, with what your vision is, then you're able to say, yes, I have reached my goal. I am able to live debt-free. All my expenses are catered for. I'm getting $5,000, $10,000 per month passive income, which means I'm not actively working day to day. I'm still doing some things, tweaking, but I'm not actively working day to day. So you can sit back and say, okay, what do I want to explore next? Or do I want to take it further? But you want to be able to acknowledge, yes, I have reached my target. I have achieved it, rather than getting so caught up in it that you don't even know that you've reached, surpassed, and you've gotten caught up in, you know, the Russell Branson's double commas ecosystem without even realizing it. So that is why it's important for you to really know who you are and what you are, and how to align that to basically achieve your end goal.
Yeah, I love that you really focused in on that, embracing your own definition of success and wealth, because I think it is so important. And it is very difficult to go a day on social media without seeing a picture of someone in a pool saying, hey, I'll help you make 8 figures by tomorrow. And we get swept along with that. Oh my gosh, I need this. And putting ourselves under pressure to do things and perform in ways that aren't necessarily aligned with what we actually want. There's that great story, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say it correctly, about an investment banker who goes to the Caribbean and sees this guy, and he's just fishing, and he just collects a little basket of fish. And he said, oh, why don't you fish for longer? Well, you know, I fish in the morning, I get enough fish for my family, and I spend the afternoon with my wife and kids, and it's perfect for me. I said, well, you know, if you invest in having a bigger boat and more team, you have more fish. And he said, well, why would I want more fish? Well, then you can sell them and make more money. Well, why do I want more money? So eventually you can retire and have that time off with your wife and kids. And he's like, but I have that today. So, you know, it's really looking at, maybe this is the way that lots of people are doing it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way for you, which really comes back to your early experience in your business as well, that, you know, not everybody was giving you the path to follow that was right for your business and what you wanted to create and how you wanted to be helping people. So I think starting with that definition is really key. It's always the first thing I do with my clients as well, is really define, well, what do you want from your business, and what do you want to create for your clients? And let's start there, and then build out what comes forward from that. And it's always different, which is what's really exciting for every business owner, really, I think, is creating that something that's uniquely yours and well placed to have that impact, that difference that you set out to create in the first place.
Absolutely. I would encourage everybody to actually enjoy it in the moment, because I know as soon as I start speaking about wealth and I start speaking about, you know, estate planning and wills and so forth, what I've noticed, first of all, a lot of business owners do not have retirement in place. They're like, I'm passionate about what I do. I don't see myself ever stopping working. I want to do this for my entire life. And I'm like, that is great, but you're not taking into consideration, you might change your mind. You might need to take time off to take care of, you know, aging parents. You might, you know, want to totally pursue another venture, or you might actually just want to stop working. You're not catering for that. And then what tends to happen is then you get caught up in this whirlwind of, how do I make this add up? How do I make sure that my future self is taken care of? Because one of the burdens that any of us don't want is being a burden on our kids. So it's always having this foresight when it comes to your business, when it comes to building wealth, that only because I am putting away something either in my SIP or my, was it Roth account or in my 401k doesn't mean I'm going to stop working. It just gives you the option to do so if you want to, because it's all about giving yourself options to go, to stop, to come, to jump, to walk. It's giving yourself the options to do all of this. And that is what your business is there to help you do, give you the access to all these options so that you can do what you want, when you want, how you want, with who you want.
Yeah, I love that. And it comes to this idea of wealth is freedom, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do one way or the other, or that you have to ever stop your business, but that you have the freedom to choose, which is really liberating. Yeah. So when it comes to managing your finances and your money around a growing business, are there different aspects of money management that you have to bring in at different stages of your business, or is it always the same?
So the way I like to look at it is that if you start from day one and you put these systems in place, it's the same. It's just the percentages that increases. And the practice I go by is profit first. So if you've not read Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, please do. It just works in accordance with the way we should be running our business, and which is we should be making a profit and we should be paying ourselves. And if you look at yourself as an employee to your business, you would have to pay yourself. If not, your employee would go. So you'd have to pay yourself. If not, that passion fizzles away because you're literally just working and working and working and not really seeing the gains from it. I just want to acknowledge that there'll be a time where you'll be working, 40-hour days. But again, it's a period. If you find that it's a consecutive experience, then yes, you want to relook at your business model and how you're going about things. So what happens with Profit First is that you focus on four main things before your expenses. You focus on your profit. So this allows you to make sure that your profit is guaranteed every single month. With every single revenue that comes in, you're taking a piece for profit. And what I'll normally advise is that you start with 1%. So if you have, let's say, a 20K launch, you take the 1%. Then you want to cater for your pay. And this might take a little longer in regards to how you come about. So maybe you want to take home, I don't know, £5,000 per month. So how much does your launch need to be for you to take that amount per month? And then that allows you to incorporate that within your launch. So it's wonderful that you're having 6K launches, 6K, six-figure launches or whatever it is. But are you paying yourself out of it? Or you just end up being Facebook ads and your copywriting team and all that? Because then you're not really making any money. You're not building anything for yourself. It's literally coming in and going out. So that is your profit. That is your owner's pay. And then you always have to put away money for your taxes. So depending on which country you're in, it's usually between 15 and 30%. Okay, I have worked with consultants myself that spend all their money, the tax bill comes. So if the tax bill comes on Monday and the tax bill is due on Friday, they would, all the money that they're working from Monday to Friday would be enough for that tax bill because they have not been putting it away. And the tax bill is for the previous period, not for this period. So that is why if you put money, 15 to 30% is usually what the tax is. If you put that away, most times than none, you find out that, oh, okay, I have some money left over from my tax. And you could leave it there, or, you can take it out and do something else. And then the last one is your operating cost. You have to know how much it costs for you to run your business. So if you had no customers coming through the door, no products shifting on the shelf, how much would your business cost you? And that is what you have to take out every single month. If not, you have to close shop. And when you've taken those four things out, must, then what is left over, that's what then you start looking at expenses, all that flashy new software, that flashy new course, that flashy new flashiness, it's always flashy. We have to admit it, right? It's always flashy. So you want to start with that. And what you find out is that you are used to putting away money for all these different things. So right now, you might be paying yourself 5% of your revenue. So let me say 10% for ease. So it's 10% of 10,000. So you know that you're taking 1,000 home. Then now 10% of 20,000, you're taking 2,000 home. 10% of 1 million. And that is how it increases. And you notice that nothing has changed. It's still 10% for you. But all that has changed is the amount. And because you're already used to putting that amount away, it's neither here nor there for you, because for you, it's only 10%. When you're putting 30% away from taxes, 30% of $10 and 30% of $10,000 for you is still 30%. So it's putting these habits in place, putting these routines in place so that you as a 5K earner, you're no different because your money management is already in place for when you become a 50 million earner. And a lot of the times money management gets put in the back burner because we're focusing on sales, we're focusing on, getting people through the door, not realizing that if we managed it more, the money will last us longer, so that we're not literally looking for the next customer. We actually have time to, readjust. We have time to innovate. We have time to nurture joint venture relationships, which makes it easier for us to make more money. You actually have time to breathe rather than always looking for the next customer. So that's why it's important from day dot to put this money management in place, because it's only a percentage. So you're not too shocked about, is that amount of money? No, it's just 1%. Let's start with 1%. And you build on that. It becomes another routine for you, like waking up and brushing your teeth.
Yeah, I love that. And I've read that book and it's just so good. I listen to my books on audio and he's actually very funny the way he reads all of his books. I've listened to them all because it's just so entertaining. And I think that's just such a powerful concept, taking out the profit first, paying yourself, having enough money for your taxes and expenses, and then you're always covered, because what we tend to do is like, oh, I've got money, let's spend it. And it's not your money yet. It belongs to all these other sources. So it's a really powerful technique. You mentioned that it's good to have that in from day dot. If people don't, if they've been running their business for a while and they're just listening to this thinking, oh, that makes sense, I need to do that. Is it too late? Can they still do that?
Oh, no. It's never too late. You can absolutely still do it. And it's just a matter of just shifting how you see your money and also shifting how you organize your money. Because right now it just goes all in and then expenses are the first thing to come out. We are trying to control our expenses. So if you know that you've taken it all out and you only have $20 left, you will not be spending it on, I don't know, a $15 a month membership or subscription or whatever it is. You'll be like, oh, I only have $20, so let's take it easy. So it actually allows you to look at exactly where your money is going to. And if where you're sending your money to, that task that you've given your money, is that in alignment with where it is that you want your business? Because if you say, okay, I want to expand my share in Mexico by 3%, but then you're spending money in your Norwegian market that is not really doing that well, you're like, is that in alignment with where I want to go? Putting profit first anywhere you are in your business is going to give you an insight, a clarity to your finances that you don't necessarily have to rely to your accountant to give to you. Because sometimes in our bid to outsource, we actually abdicate our responsibility around the money in our business. So this allows you to get some of that control, some of that clarity back, because only you can decide, oh, you know what, with this 20,000 that I have, I am going to invest in innovation of this new product that we're looking at. Your accountant won't tell you that. And only you can tell from your gut feeling that, oh, the market is a bit slow now. It might not be a good time to launch this product because all the farmers had bugs and all their plants died. You would have that knowledge. Your accountant won't be able to tell you that. So that is why it's important. Even though you have an accountant or a bookkeeper, it all comes back to you. Even though you have an accountant or bookkeeper, the IRS, HMRC will still come to you. So you have an onus to yourself and to your business, because right now it's a separate entity to you if you're legally registered like that. You have a responsibility to your business as well in regards to, I am nurturing you. I've spent all these years nurturing you. I want you to stay successful, remain successful, and not burn me out. And understanding your money like that and putting all these structures in place. I like it when I'm able to just look at something and then go, because time is precious. You're probably a mom, you're a parent, you're a CEO, you're a mom, sister, brother, you have so many relationships that you're juggling. So the quicker I could give things to you, which is what Profit First allows you to do, that you could get a glimpse of this is where I am, then the better your decisions are in your business. And imagine being in a space where your decisions are not just gut feeling, they're actually backed by the data you're getting from your business. That is a level of confidence in your money, in your decisions, that only by doing the work you will get. So don't be discouraged, put it in place. And it's so easy to put in place as well. It's literally the bucket system or the envelope system that you would see in the personal finance space. But now we're bringing it in the business space so that you're able to have those better decisions for your business.
Great. Thank you for that encouragement. You've shared so much value today and really given some great insights, really showed us how we can get started to understand our money management, define our success, where to start with this profit first concept. Is there any other advice you feel female entrepreneurs listening need to have to really succeed when it comes to their money?
Yes, actually, I do. I always say this: don't let the limitations of your eyes limit your mind. For the longer you're not taking action, the more wealth you're losing. So this is to say that sometimes if you love magicians, which I tend to, at least since David Copperfield, they're all illusions of your eyes. You can literally play tricks on your eyes. So that's why you always have to rely back on your mind, what it is that you want to go. And also your current circumstance might not reflect what your vision is. So that's why you always fall back on the mind. And one thing that I've seen with women is that we have a lot of self-doubt around what it is we're trying to do. We have a lot of issues around self-worth as well. And in fact, just a segue, when it comes to your pricing, please don't price according to your worth, because you're much more valuable than a $10,000 course. So I know in the space we're talking about, yeah, charge your worth. You are priceless. You're absolutely priceless. So there is no way that you can charge your worth. There's not enough zeros in the world. So first of all, come away from that pricing model. It doesn't work. And you want to be in alignment and seek help. Seek help from your community, from the group that Melita has got as well, which I interact with quite often, and find your tribe where you know that you can be challenged, but also you can be pushed forward in regards to where it is that ultimately you want to live this life, this human experience of yours. So go forth and conquer.
Oh, amazing advice. Thank you so much, Anwin. That's really fantastic. So if anyone wants to know a bit more about working with you or wants to take your money quiz, how can they do that? What's the best place for them to find you?
The best place would be my website. So www.wealthfluency, so that's wealth and fluency, one word.com. And you'll be able to find me there, but also you can find me on most social media platforms as Anwin Mbah.
Great. And you're a part of our community as well. So check the links below for the Dream Clients Club Facebook group. And a lot of the speakers from the podcast are in there as well. So you can really continue the conversation, which is really where the value comes in. And thank you so much for your time and for sharing just so much value today.
Thank you for having me on board, Melita. I really, really enjoyed myself.